Across America, lawmakers are quietly preparing a massive crackdown on RV living. In 2026, 15 new laws will hit like a hammer. Bans, restrictions, towing authority, and harsh penalties the public knows nothing about. RVs will be pushed out of neighborhoods, out of cities, and in many cases, taken away entirely. This isn't a prediction, it's already happening, and 2026 will be the breaking point. Starting in 2026, cities across America are expanding laws that allow them to tow and destroy RVs deemed inoperable or unsafe, even with people living inside. California is leading this trend, and other states are following fast. The most dramatic change involves value thresholds. Under the new California model, any RV worth less than $4,000 can be seized without the owner's permission. That's a massive jump from the previous $500 limit. Why does this matter? Because over 70% of RVs used as shelter fall below that $4,000 mark due to age, wear, or mechanical issues. This means tens of thousands of people could suddenly lose their only home. Once an RV gets tagged as inoperable, owners typically have just 24 to 72 hours to fix the problem or move the vehicle. Most people can't manage either option. Repairs often cost $1,000 to $6,000, and towing fees run $350 to $750, plus daily storage charges of $65 to $150. If you can't pay, the city legally destroys your RV. There's no compensation and no appeal process. Housing advocates warn this could trigger mass displacement, especially on the West Coast. States like Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and New York are already drafting similar legislation. Dozens of American cities are updating their laws to strictly enforce 72-hour parking limits on RVs, vans, and oversized vehicles. While these rules existed before, 2026 brings something different: aggressive enforcement, higher fines, and automatic towing after just 3 violations. Under these new ordinances, your RV cannot stay parked in the same public spot for more than 3 days, even if it's fully legal, insured, and running perfectly. Cities like Seattle, Portland, Denver, Los Angeles, and San Diego estimate these enforcement policies will remove 30% to 50% of all street-based RV residents. The laws also target rotation parking, where people move their RVs a block or two every few days to avoid citations. In 2026, most cities will require RVs to move at least 1 to 3 miles away to reset the 72-hour clock, making small moves illegal. Violations cost between $50 and $220 per ticket. After 2 violations within 30 days, many cities classify the RV as abandoned, triggering an automatic tow. Reclaiming a towed RV can cost $1,500 to $3,000, impossible for most people living in their vehicles. This doesn't just affect homeless residents. Traveling RV families parking near beaches, lakes, or urban attractions could also face tickets and towing. The nighttime RV parking ban is one of the most disruptive laws expanding across U.S. cities in 2026. Under this rule, sleeping inside an RV parked on public streets between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. becomes illegal. Originally started in coastal California cities, over 40 municipalities nationwide are now considering similar bans, citing public safety and sanitation concerns. What makes this law particularly harsh is that it criminalizes the act of sleeping, not just parking. Police use thermal imaging, condensation checks, privacy coverings, and window inspections to determine if someone is sleeping inside. First-time violations typically result in $75 to $300 fines, but repeated violations escalate to criminal citations and vehicle impoundment. For homeless RV residents, this means moving every single night, often several miles away, just to avoid detection. For travelers or recreational RV users, any overnight stop in urban areas becomes legally risky. Families parking near beaches, lakes, special events, or tourist destinations are especially vulnerable. Cities defending these bans claim that nighttime RV occupancy leads to increased waste dumping, generator noise, and safety complaints. Opponents argue the law simply pushes vulnerable people into hiding and increases displacement. As more cities adopt nighttime bans in 2026, sleeping in an RV on any public street could become nearly impossible. Many cities are creating safe parking zones for RV residents, but 2026 introduces a controversial twist: mandatory relocation. Under these new laws, RV dwellers must move into designated safe parking lots if they want to remain legally in the city. Street parking becomes completely illegal, even in areas where it was previously allowed. The major problem? Most safe parking lots are already full. Many cities offer only 50 to 150 spaces despite having thousands of vehicle dwellers who need them. San Diego, for example, has approximately 3,500 people living in vehicles, but only 167 safe parking spots available. That means over 90% have nowhere to go, yet they'll still face penalties for street parking. Inside these lots, RV residents must follow strict rules. No generators after certain hours, no on-site repairs, mandatory check-ins, required participation in case management or housing programs, and limits on length of stay, usually 30 to 90 days. Many cities also require background checks before entry, excluding people with certain citations or criminal records. Critics argue mandatory relocation isn't support, it's displacement disguised as assistance. If no space is available, the RV must leave the city or face fines and towing. For traveling RV owners, these laws create confusing zones where overnight parking suddenly becomes illegal. The proof of operability requirement is becoming standard as cities work to eliminate stationary RV dwellings. Under this law, any RV parked on public streets must demonstrate it can start, drive, and be legally operated. If not, the RV gets tagged as inoperable, giving owners just 24 to 72 hours to move it or face impoundment. What counts as inoperable? City estimates suggest 40% to 60% of RVs used as shelter cannot move under their own power, making this law especially devastating for homeless residents. Getting an RV street legal often costs $800 to $5,000 in repairs, money most people simply don't have. Once towed, reclaiming the vehicle can reach $1,500 to $4,000, essentially making it a permanent loss. Police and code enforcement officers conduct operability sweeps weekly or monthly, especially in high complaint neighborhoods. Even travelers can get caught if their RV has temporary mechanical issues or needs roadside repairs. This law also targets rigs parked too long in scenic areas, rest zones, or urban neighborhoods. The stated goal is reducing long-term vehicle habitation, but critics warn it will cause mass seizures of older, low-value RVs throughout 2026. Cities are strengthening sanitation laws targeting RVs in response to rising complaints about gray water spills, black tank leaks, and trash overflow. New ordinances impose heavy fines and immediate towing for improper waste handling, even for small accidental spills. Gray water violations typically start at $100 to $500, but repeated offenses can lead to impoundment. Black tank dumping outside designated stations can bring $1,000 to $2,500 fines plus criminal citations. Many cities now classify unauthorized dumping as an environmental hazard, giving them authority to seize the entire RV. Even leaving trash bags outside your RV can count as a sanitation violation. Some cities now require RV residents to show receipts proving they used proper dump stations at least once every 7 to 14 days. Others use drones and street cameras to monitor known dumping hotspots. The biggest challenge is lack of access. Many urban areas have zero nearby dump stations, and safe parking lots often offer limited hours or long waiting lines. This forces RV dwellers to travel long distances or risk citations, especially those with older rigs prone to leaking. Environmental data shows improper dumping by vehicle dwellers rose 30% from 2021 to 2024, driving cities to crack down harder in 2026. Unfortunately, this law disproportionately impacts low-income RV owners who cannot afford tank repairs or proper disposal fees. The residential zone oversized vehicle ban prohibits RVs from parking on streets within residential neighborhoods, day or night. While these laws already exist in some places, 2026 brings expanded enforcement and much larger restricted zones, effectively pushing RVs out of most suburban and urban communities. Cities like Los Angeles, Phoenix, Denver, and Austin have drawn red zones covering 60% to 90% of residential neighborhoods. More cities are expected to add similar restrictions throughout 2026. Warning signs aren't always clearly posted, making it extremely easy to violate these laws unintentionally. This ban impacts both homeless RV dwellers and traveling RV families. Even short-term stops, visiting friends, parking overnight before a road trip, or staying with family can result in $70 to $350 tickets. Repeat violations trigger automatic towing. Many cities define oversized vehicle as anything over 22 to 24 feet long, over 80 inches wide, over 7 to 8 feet tall, or any vehicle towing a trailer. In densely populated neighborhoods, police run enforcement sweeps weekly. The stated goal is preventing large vehicles from blocking driveways, sidewalks, and sightlines. But critics argue it's really about removing visible homelessness from residential areas. RV owners must now rely on industrial areas, commercial zones, safe parking lots, or paid campgrounds, which are increasingly full and expensive. More cities are creating vehicle habitation permits, a new requirement for anyone living in an RV within city limits. Without this permit, sleeping in your RV becomes illegal, even if you're parked in a legal spot. This policy is expanding rapidly in 2026, especially in California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and major East Coast metropolitan areas. To obtain a permit, RV dwellers must provide proof of identity, proof of vehicle ownership, current registration and insurance, proof of operability, background check clearance, agreement to follow city rules, and participation in rehousing programs in some cities. What makes this law devastating is the permit limits. Most cities only issue 50 to 200 permits, while they may have 2,000 to 8,000 people living in vehicles. In many places, over 95% of applicants are denied because available slots fill within hours. Violations include $100 to $500 fines, vehicle towing, and in some cities, criminal citations for illegal habitation in a vehicle. Some cities require permit holders to display a sticker or barcode on their windshield so police can quickly identify legal versus illegal dwellers. For travelers, this creates confusion. Parking overnight may be illegal without a local permit. For homeless RV residents, this law acts as an effective gatekeeper that pushes most people onto the streets or out of the city entirely. One of the biggest surprises for RV owners in 2026 is the rise of private property residency bans, which forbid people from living full-time in an RV, even on their own land or a friend's property. These zoning laws are expanding rapidly in suburban and rural counties, especially in states like Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Utah, and Arizona. Local governments argue that RVs aren't permanent housing structures and often cite concerns about sanitation, fire risk, and neighborhood character. Under these new ordinances, you can park an RV on private property, but you cannot legally sleep in it long-term unless the property has an approved RV pad, proper hookups, adequate waste disposal systems, and correct zoning classification. Violations typically include $100 to $300 per day fines, forced eviction notices, code enforcement inspections, possible towing if the RV is abandoned or non-compliant, and threats of property liens if fines accumulate unpaid. The biggest shock? Many counties now require building permits to live temporarily in an RV during home construction, and only allow it for 60 to 180 days maximum. After that period, you must leave. Nearly 1 in 5 rural counties are expected to adopt these bans by the end of 2026. This puts enormous pressure on low-income families who rely on RVs as transitional housing and eliminates affordable living options in areas previously considered safe havens. Thanks to major court changes, cities in 2026 now have legal power to clear RV encampments even when no shelter beds are available. This represents a historic shift. Previously, cities faced lawsuits for clearing homeless encampments without offering shelter alternatives. Now they can remove RV clusters, tow vehicles, and confiscate property with far fewer legal challenges. Encampment sweeps follow a predictable pattern. 24 to 72-hour posted warning, police and sanitation crews arrive together, all RVs must move immediately. Anything left behind gets treated as abandoned property, and towing begins by priority, inoperable rigs first. Cities like San Francisco, Portland, Los Angeles, Seattle, Phoenix, and Denver are already planning monthly or bi-weekly sweeps starting in 2026. Some areas expect over 1,000 RV removals per year. The biggest problem? When sweeps happen, displaced people have nowhere to go. Safe parking lots are full. Nearby streets have new restrictions. Industrial areas are cracking down. Many people simply move a few miles away until the next sweep comes, creating an endless cycle of displacement without actual solutions. Critics warn this law will cause the largest mass movement of RV-dwelling homeless people in U.S. history. Cities defend it as necessary for reducing fires, crime, and waste problems. Either way, anyone living long-term in an RV inside city limits will be directly affected by these sweeps. The no-return zone law is a 2026 policy preventing RV dwellers from returning to an area after being ordered to leave. Once cited or warned, RVs cannot legally park in that same zone for 30, 60, or sometimes 90 days. Cities like Seattle, Los Angeles, and Portland already use this model, and dozens more plan to adopt it throughout the year. Cities draw restricted habitation zones around schools, parks, residential areas, and business districts. If you're caught living in an RV inside one of these zones, consequences escalate quickly. First offense brings a warning plus 30-day ban. Second offense means a fine plus 60-day ban. And third offense triggers towing plus a 90-day ban or criminal charges. These zones typically cover 50% to 70% of the entire city, meaning RV dwellers must constantly move to avoid violations. Police enforce bans through license plate scanners, surveillance cameras, and recorded hotspot maps shared across departments. Even travelers can get caught. Parking near a beach, stadium, or downtown venue for a few days may be illegal if the area falls within a habitation-restricted zone. This law forces constant movement, making it nearly impossible for homeless RV dwellers to achieve any stability. The more they move, the more likely they are to receive tickets, experience mechanical breakdowns, or lose access to essential services like jobs, schools, or medical appointments. One of the harshest laws expanding in 2026 is the shift from simple parking tickets to automatic tow eligibility after just a few violations. Many cities are rewriting municipal codes so that 2 unpaid tickets within 30 to 60 days trigger immediate impoundment, regardless of whether someone is living in the RV. Under older rules, towing usually required multiple violations, abandoned vehicle classification, or months of unpaid citations. Now cities like Denver, San Diego, Portland, and Phoenix will tow after as few as 2 to 3 unpaid tickets, especially for oversized vehicles. Individual ticket amounts range from $45 to $150, which many RV dwellers cannot afford. Once unpaid, they quickly snowball into a tow order. The danger is that RV residents often never receive the notices. Many move frequently and don't get mailed warnings. Others lose tickets that blow off windshields. Enforcement officers often mark tires digitally or use license plate scanners, issuing tickets residents never physically see. Reclaiming a towed RV is extremely expensive. Tow fees run $250 to $600, storage costs $60 to $150 per day, release fees add $100 to $200, and administrative fees tack on another $75 to $150. Most RV residents cannot pay $1,500 to $3,000 within just a few days, and the RV gets auctioned or destroyed. For people using their RV as home, this law effectively becomes a fast-track eviction system. Beginning in 2026, major states and cities are ramping up enforcement of expired tags, failed emissions tests, and lapses in insurance, all of which now qualify as immediate reasons to tow RVs on the spot. This isn't entirely new legislation, but the aggressive enforcement approach definitely is. RVs are being specifically targeted because older rigs often fail smog checks or have outdated registration due to high renewal costs. Cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver, Seattle, Austin, and Phoenix have started specialized, oversized vehicle compliance teams that drive through known RV areas automatically scanning license plates. Tags expired by even 1 day can result in a ticket. Expired by over 6 months? Many cities now tow immediately without warning. Costs to renew registration can be staggering. California often charges $250 to $600 for older RVs. Emissions-related repairs run $300 to $2,000, and basic liability insurance costs $60 to $180 monthly. For low-income RV dwellers, these costs are simply impossible to manage. Housing advocates estimate that 55% to 70% of RVs used as housing have expired tags or failed emissions standards. Once an RV is impounded for registration violations, owners typically have only 5 to 15 days to fix all issues and pay accumulated fees before the vehicle is legally scrapped. Even travelers risk this if they pass through strict emission cities with outdated tags. With oversized vehicles being blamed for traffic congestion, blocked driveways, and reduced visibility, dozens of cities are introducing new size-based parking bans in 2026. Under these laws, RVs exceeding certain dimensions cannot park on designated streets, sometimes covering entire districts. Typical restrictions include maximum length of 22 to 24 feet, maximum height of 7 to 8 feet, maximum width of 80 inches, no trailers in certain zones, and no Class A or Super C motorhomes in urban areas. Cities like San Francisco, Santa Monica, Seattle, Denver, Chicago, Miami, and Houston have already mapped large no-parking zones covering 40% to 85% of their urban areas. Violations typically carry $100 to $500 fines, escalating to towing after repeat offenses. Even travelers will be caught off guard. Streets near beaches, stadiums, downtown districts, and residential zones routinely enforce these restrictions now. Some areas require special oversized parking permits, which often exclude RVs entirely or have extremely limited availability. Cities justify these laws by citing accident data, showing large vehicles reduce visibility for pedestrians and cyclists. But the real impact is eliminating almost all street parking options for people using RVs as housing. RV size restrictions also affect families with fifth wheels, toy haulers, or longer Class C motorhomes. Owners of rigs over 25 to 30 feet will find it nearly impossible to legally park in many metropolitan areas by late 2026. After a significant spike in RV fires between 2021 and 2024, many caused by propane heaters, malfunctioning electrical systems, and generator overload, cities are passing strict fire hazard laws specifically targeting RV dwellings. In 2026, the rule is simple. Any identified fire risk equals immediate eviction or towing. Fire departments are now required to report RV incidents directly to city enforcement teams. If your RV is observed with extension cords running across sidewalks, these tags give owners just 12 to 48 hours to correct the issue, or the RV can be forcibly removed from the area. The numbers are alarming. National fire data shows a 27% increase in RV fires among vehicle dwellers from 2020 to 2024. Cities argue these laws protect neighborhoods from catastrophic fires that could spread to nearby homes and buildings. Critics argue that low-income RV owners simply cannot afford the necessary repairs, effectively forcing them into homelessness. This law also impacts vacationers and travelers. Leaving a generator running in a parking lot overnight, using portable heaters at outdoor events, or powering an RV improperly can all trigger citations. Cities now prioritize public safety concerns over housing considerations. The biggest nationwide shift coming in 2026 isn't a single city law. It's the new federal legal landscape created by recent Supreme Court rulings. Previously, cities were restricted from criminalizing homelessness unless adequate shelter beds were available. That constitutional barrier is now gone. Cities can fully enforce bans on sleeping in public spaces, including inside vehicles, without providing housing alternatives. This ruling gives cities permission to ban sleeping in vehicles at all times, remove RVs used as housing without offering shelter, criminalize camping in streets, parking lots, and industrial zones, confiscate personal property during encampment sweeps, and expand towing powers dramatically. Over 200 U.S. cities are expected to rewrite local ordinances by the end of 2026 to take full advantage of this ruling. Current projections suggest 10,000 to 20,000 RV dwellers will be displaced nationwide as enforcement rapidly increases. The ruling effectively means RV homelessness is no longer protected by necessity or humanitarian exceptions. Cities now treat it purely as a zoning, sanitation, and public safety issue, not a housing crisis requiring compassionate response. For RV travelers, this means stricter parking rules, heavier enforcement, and far fewer places to sleep overnight legally. For homeless RV dwellers, it signals the largest coordinated crackdown in decades, fundamentally changing how cities respond to vehicle-based living across the entire country. The scariest part is this: these laws aren't coming. They've already started. Which one of these new RV laws do you think will hit the hardest in 2026? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want to stay ahead of what's coming, check our next video, where we show exactly how RV homelessness exploded across America and which states are about to hit their breaking point.